and I'll never back down. In the middle of the ring is where I lay the smack down. Against all odds, I will always prevail. So when you step to me, it's like hell in a cell.
Greetings and salutations, this is Christopher Daniels. I'm talking to my main man Delzinski right now. Any video game show, any video game channel, any YouTube channel called Vintage Shizzle is indeed hashtag Daniels approved.
Yo, alright guys, Delzinski here. Welcome to another We Talk Weekend. And as per usual, I am joined by my partner in crime. It is the one and the only. It is the Professor Weeds. How are you doing, mate?
I'm really well, mate. Another solid episode of Raw, I thought, this week. I haven't actually watched SmackDown yet, because I don't think anyone actually does. But we are well on the road to WrestleMania, aren't we? We
are fully underway on the road to WrestleMania. Lots to talk about this week. We got Sting and that rather bizarre promo. The Undertaker making a kind of appearance. Reigns and Lesnar. Are they ever going to, get it on, so to speak? And not in that way. No.
No, they're not. They're not in that way, ever. I'm pretty sure.
And two people that definitely did get it on was Orton and Rollins. And then, there's just so much to talk about. So much. But first of all, just want to say to everybody, because I am receiving some audio clips, and what we've been asking all you guys to do is send us your audio for your prediction between Reigns and Lesnar, that main event. What I want is your name, and then I want your prediction. Is it going to be Reigns or is it going to be Lesnar who's victorious? And then I want you guys to tell me how it goes down. So it could be, for example, Reigns wins with 3 spears. That could be your prediction. It could be Lesnar wins with 16 German suplexes and 1,000,000 F5s. I don't know. Something's got to stop Roman Reigns. Maybe that will be it. But that's what I want from you guys. I want your predictions, and you can go for it. You can say whatever you want, but it's got to be 30 seconds. So yeah, send me them. All you've got to do is follow me on Twitter, and then I'll give you my email, and you can get those audio clips sent over. And we've already got a couple, and they all sound pretty awesome, and it's great to have them, and they will all be featured on the show. So Weeds, I know we've got lots to talk about, and I think it's going to be great to hear from the guys out there to know what their views are.
And before we even get started as well, I was going to say they've given us some ideas that we hadn't even thought about.
Exactly.
Well, which is great. And we're a week into your channel launch, aren't we, as well?
Yes, we are. If you haven't checked
it out... Or your website update, sorry.
Yes, if you haven't checked it out already, then go over and check out delzinski.com. We've got plenty of stuff going on there. And tonight, it's the continuation of Saturday Night Main Event, 8 p.m. UK time. The first episode was last week. I'll leave a link to that in the description box below. And that continues tonight. But there's plenty more shizzle on that website. So make sure you do head over to delzinski.com.
And if you haven't checked out the first episode of Saturday Night Main Event yet, it is well worth it. It's a good, solid 20-minute episode. Mm-hmm. Oh, lots of different wrestling angles in there. And for me, for one, just watching it, a new universe mode out there on YouTube, it left me coming back wanting more. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to 8 p.m. tonight. We'll be tuned in for the next episode.
Yeah, that's why my voice sounds a bit husky, because I'm going full in on the commentary on that. And I was doing another episode last night, so yeah, sound a bit ropey today.
You sound no different.
Oh, thanks very much. So yeah, let's get straight into it. We've got tons to talk about today. And the first thing that we picked up on this week is that rather interesting but slightly bizarre Sting promo that we got on Monday Night Raw. Sting
Someone kidnapped him. Well, does he?
I was waiting for him to go, I'd like to play a game. That's what I was waiting for him to do.
That was exactly, it was a little bit like that. I felt he was like, a lumberjack out in the woods somewhere. I was like, Sting's changed. I mean, I only saw him briefly in TNA, but he didn't sound like that.
Well, it was a bit strange because when I first listened to it, I was like, is that Sting? Or are they doing like sometimes they do it with these promos. They have that voiceover guy. But it is. I'm pretty sure it is, because when it ducks in and out, it definitely sounds in parts like Sting. So they've just put some reverb on his voice.
Yeah, it was interesting, isn't it? Because it made you feel like the epic kind of movie trailers you get for the summer blockbusters. It was like, in a land the time forgot, here is Sting after 14 years. I was like, whoa. And I was like, probably just like you, I was double checking myself. I was like, is that what Sting sounds like? That's not Sting.
I bet you lots of people thought that. I bet you lots of the We Talkers definitely thought that. I mean, it was
that was
good.
funny if that's the first thing you're thinking, isn't it? And I imagine a lot of people would before they're actually even listening to the promo, you're trying to work out who the hell that is.
Well, that's right, and it was good. I actually really liked it. But I like this whole sort of supernaturalness with Sting, the mysteriousness. It's great to get back into all of that because he definitely lost that over his TNA time. TNA just did not utilise that side of Sting, that Crow version, and WWE have got fully involved in it. But yeah, the voice. So it's going to be interesting when he actually does say his first real words in the ring at some point because he's not going to sound like that.
No, I mean, that was my only beef, I suppose, with it, was that his first words in the WWE were over some weird voiceover. I thought all the points he made were quite pertinent, but I think it would have been a lot better if it would have been face to face with the crowd. Though saying that, I don't know what you thought about the crowd on Monday. I thought they could have been into it a little bit more. So maybe it was for the best that he didn't actually get to make a promo in that way for the first time.
Yeah, I don't really want him to be there still. I don't want him. I like this whole.
Is this the new Vogue in WWE? We don't want people to be there.
Yeah, you've got Lesnar, Taker, Sting. I mean, yeah, possibly. I like the whole element that you just don't know. And it kind of reminds me with Sting where he said, I think in his promos in WCW days, the only thing that's for sure about Sting is nothing's for sure. And that's what I still like. They're still kind of bringing in that angle because you just don't know what Sting's going to do. And I find that very entertaining. The points that you made and the points that he made about referencing the NWO where he tried to stop the NWO but he failed. And now he's going to try and basically rectify that and fix that situation by stopping the Authority. That sounds really on point. It definitely ties the storyline of WCW, which we kind of questioned a while ago. But the thing coming out of that is what happens after the match. I mean, we talked about just before we came on, something has to come out of this to make it have some real substance. So is it a case that Sting gets some sort of power, or is Sting reporting to a higher power? And my idea could be, but it won't make sense now because they haven't built it into the angle.
I'm willing to go with you after your UFC prediction last week. I'm willing to go with some of your weird and wonderful angles.
Yes, conquered the storyline there, didn't I? Well, what I want to say about this one is, what about Vince? Because it could have made perfect sense if Vince had picked up an issue with the Authority, but he never really has. Even at the Survivor Series, when he did the control and the power thing, never really made a lot of sense why he wanted to take the power from them because they got it back now. So Vince is kind of just, I don't know. It was just, I reckon that maybe Sting could have given control back to Vince McMahon from the Authority, but it don't work now because they haven't built it into the storyline enough. So what do you think comes out of the Sting Triple H storyline if Sting's victorious?
Well, I mean, you make quite a good point there with Vince because it would be the revelation of what they did with the Ministry, wasn't it? And turned it into the corporate ministry.
Oh no, that reveal.
Yeah, do you remember that? When he was so pleased with himself after he just tried to sacrifice Stephanie McMahon on Raw, and good old Stone Cold came out and saved her. But no, I wouldn't mind that. And it, I bought the angle back then, and I'd probably buy it again now. I think the main problem we've got, and I think we've covered this a number of times, is how often are we going to see Vince on TV now? Because, I mean, even on the podcast we saw him last, he is noticeably older now. And some of the booking things that he's been doing recently arguably show he's noticeally older as well.
But he is built like a brick shithouse.
Yeah, well, I'd never say these things to his face. Well, actually, I probably would, because I'm still convinced I can outrun him.
I doubt it.
But no, I completely take your point there. I think the line that came up in the promo with Sting is after 14 years, he's basically saying he's bided his time, and he's coming to seek retribution. It's like, one for me is why did you need to wait 14 years? Surely this would have been better in 2001. But we've got it now, so I'm happy that we've got it. But it's like you say, there needs to be something on the line, and there's no stipulations at the moment, is there, with the Mania matches? So this is likely going to be the one they look to probably add a little bit something to. I can see Vince actually getting involved with this angle in advance of WrestleMania, even though we are about 2.5 weeks off at the moment. Yeah, I mean, I can see him potentially getting involved. It was odd that Hunter wasn't on Raw at all this week. But for me, I think this has been some of Triple H's best stuff that he's actually done in the ring for promo wise, but for years. So I think there's a little bit more of a story to come here.
I absolutely love the way Triple H portrays his authority character. I think he does a great job. It's probably the best stuff, like you said, that Triple H has done in a long, long time. Just his passion always makes me think this is epic. This is why I really enjoy the whole feud, because it's probably more down towards Triple H. And I think Triple H has probably got a hand in the way that Sting's being portrayed as well. They've probably talked this through together, so they've got it spot on. I would say, because you said that I was on point with my Brock Lesnar prediction.
You're not going to get 2 in 2.
Well, if Vince doesn't happen to get involved, then how about this? So, we all know that Sting had issues with one Dixie Carter.
She's not going to be rocking up on Raw.
Oh, okay, fine then. But do you know what my point was going to be, actually, to be honest? That if Sting can't defeat Dixie Carter, which he didn't because he was forced out of TNA, how on earth is he going to beat the Game?
Well, again, when we covered it from the WWE, WCW angle, it's very difficult for me to see Triple H not potentially winning, because it is a WWE versus WCW angle to some degree. But saying that, I don't think he necessarily is going to win.
Sting is 100% going to win this. There is no chance you can bring back an icon like this and have him lose.
I don't know. Triple H managed to beat Lesnar enough times, didn't he? And no one can touch him now.
Nah, you can't have Sting lose at this. If they had Sting lose at this, I would be like punching my TV.
Well, that would be at about 3 a.m. over here. So if you want to break your TV at that time, that is down to you. But it wouldn't be the first time something like this has potentially happened. And as much as we like to say they do book these things in intelligent and long planning ways, I think they have a track record recently that says otherwise.
Yeah, the feud has to go on after WrestleMania. Something's got to give, regardless who wins.
I mean, what would you say? Are we looking at a one and done here for Sting?
No, I think probably leads us on something we're going to talk about. But I think Sting's next path, whether it's builds straight away or whether it builds in 6 months' time, Sting should be going on to WrestleMania 32 and facing the Undertaker in a final match.
Well, they should both retire.
Yes, because the whole supernatural mysteriousness side has come out in both these characters, and I'm not being funny, but this was something that everybody wanted, and just watching the way that Bray Wyatt and the Undertaker are interacting, the way that Sting and Triple H are interacting, that mysteriousness with the two combined is like a match made in heaven.
I mean, this is the litmus test, isn't it, for both, really? The Undertaker after, because, I mean, he took an absolutely savage beating. Say pro wrestling's fake or whatever you want to. What Lesnar gave him last year, Jesus Christ. I'm surprised he managed to even walk out there that night. So, yeah, for me, it's I kind of see a year down the line, hopefully when we are both in Texas Stadium. Yeah, this would be the perfect send-off, I think, and have both of them go into the same class of the Hall of Fame for me. That's where I want to see this end a year from now.
Yeah, and we were talking again a little bit about this before we went live. We were doing a bit of a comparison, really, of the way that Sting's been portrayed in comparison to The Undertaker. And We were talking about the whole promo side. Absolutely loving, by the way, the face paint on Triple H throughout these promos. It's just
the
awesome.
video packages are just amazing. Some of the best stuff they've actually done in years.
Yeah, and so all of that stuff rolled in is just perfect, in my opinion, with Sting. The Undertaker stuff was perfect, the way that Bray Wyatt has been building it up, and then the Undertaker striked, and he literally did, with that lightning bolt against the chair of the rocking chair of Bray Wyatt. That, I thought, was really, really good. But then they kind of did something wrong. So with the Sting promo, I know we questioned the voice, but I think that went down a lot better than having it for The Undertaker, where he just went Bray Wyatt, WrestleMania, yada, 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 rest in peace. But he didn't even say it with that sort of, that old school Undertaker feel, that rest in peace. It wasn't like that. It was just like, it sounded like he was backstage and he had a mic in his hand. It was just rest in peace. And I mean, I thought that ruined the segment, because the way that I would have done it would have been the lightning bolt would have hit, and that was all you needed. All you needed was The Undertaker giving a sign that, I'm listening, I know what you're doing, and I will take you at WrestleMania. I am not a stupid wrestling fan. Some might say. They probably do think. And I'm pretty sure...
Your Twitter feed says differently.
Yeah, I know. And I'm sure that you're the same, Weeds, and I'm sure that many people out there did not need it spelling out and making it crystal clear that The Undertaker is accepted by him actually saying it, and also to have it come up on the... I still call it the Titantron. What do you call it these days?
I'm calling it the Titantron.
Yeah, it still came up on the Titantron to say WrestleMania, Bray Wyatt, Undertaker. It just... Totally unnecessary, when you could just have a perfect segment with having that lightning bolt and it closing the door and basically saying Wyatt, Taker, WrestleMania.
No, you had the 3 acceptances, didn't you?
Just
in case you missed any of them. It was for the hard of hearing, the blind among us, and and anyone who, I suppose, can't talk, but not that you need it confirmed in that way. Yeah, so you had the Titantron, you had the voice accepting, and then you had the lightning bolt. Little bit OTT. What do you think of Wyatt still? I still think he's doing a solid job. I was a bit bemused by his reaction, because last time someone set his chair on fire, he kind of broke down. This time he just kind of broke down in a different way.
I like all the stuff that Wyatt's doing. I think he's going to, over the next few weeks, he's going to get more and more extreme in terms of some of the pranks he's going to be doing. Pranks ain't the best word, but he's going to, what's he going to be doing? Hiding under rings? Yeah. But I think that Wyatt, do you know what it kind of reminded me of? Because they always keep doing it now. They keep bringing the urn in, and it just reminded me, but it kind of reminded me of the punk time with the urn. So
surely he's still stolen it, hasn't he? Or did he take it back?
No. Obviously, Bray Wyatt went down to UFC and went and retrieved the urn and brought it back.
Gotcha. I was going to say though, I liked the urn when it came out, and he had a look in it, and
that was good.
And then he was suddenly bemused by it, but then he brought it straight back into the kind of the maniacal laughing. So I think it's doing wonders for Bray Wyatt, this feud, and it is kind of, because the next evolution, I suppose, from here for him has got to be into the title picture, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think what's nice about him is he's becoming more and more the character I think that everybody wanted, that mystery of the mind games, because it's almost a one-upsmanship with him and The Undertaker, so I hope that they can keep that going. I'd like to see some segments of him outside of the ring, like at places. Do you remember when they used to do that, when they used to have like people at the graveyard?
Yeah.
And I'd like to see some of that sort of stuff with Bray.
It's funny you should mention stuff like that, because do you know what this feud is reminding me of at the moment? It's reminding me of when Mankind first came into the WWE, and they had things like the Boiler Room Brawls. And it's that kind of... And I like the way he's saying, I don't fear you, I'm not scared of you anymore, you're not the same Undertaker, and I'm the new face of fear. And that it kind of is making me think a little bit along when Mick Foley first came in with the, when he was pulling his hair out and rocking and sitting there talking to rats.
That's all the noise he used to make all the time.
Yeah, obviously a massive Foley fan here, but I and if it's going along those sort of lines, and they seem to be doing this, because I seem to be placing a lot of these angles into things that I really liked about wrestling about 20 years ago. So I've never seen so many wrestling angles on Raw.
No, do you think, just a final point on The Undertaker, there's been a lot of talk of what version of Undertaker we're going to get. Do you think that, and also, I've seen a couple of the pictures of him, but I don't know when these were taken, but he's obviously grown his hair a little bit. It's not long, but a lot of people are saying that most of the references with The Undertaker are always focusing on the older Undertaker, not the one that we've seen recently. Are they trying to sway us towards that? We're going to get more of the old school Undertaker, going to have some hair, going to look a little bit like how he used to look from the olden days?
I mean, that's the Undertaker, I suppose, that has to go out. The one that came in, I suppose, at Survivor Series in 1990. For me, it would have been quite cool if we could have seen the badass mainly for a little bit again, because there's quite a good visual imagery of him going out from Texas Stadium on his bike with his hand raised, how he used to. But I think he has to for the continuity of the character and finishing that story off of The Undertaker, which will be 26 years by that point in WWE. He has to go out, hopefully buried in a coffin.
Oh, that's a bit
morbid,
deep,
isn't it?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
It should be like the final resting place for Undertaker for me.
I hope so. I hope they do go once more. It really depends on the outcome of this match, to be honest.
You never know. Sting might win against Triple H and give The Undertaker power for the next year. Be the new GM.
Just don't give it to Hogan. Don't give it to him.
Brother.
Yeah, so I kind of wraps up our talk about The Undertaker, Sting, all very interesting, all very different and very nice and refreshing, I think, from the WWE's point of view. Didn't expect them to do quite the job they're doing at the moment. Well done.
And just to say, this is why it's good, is because you're getting, like we said on NXT, all the things we liked about NXT TakeOver Rivals, where you got a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's coming in rather than the same thing from, your Lesnar and Reigns, your Orton and Rollins, your Taker and Bray Wyatt. It's all different, and I suppose that's what's keeping it quite fresh at the moment.
Yeah, I think what I'm enjoying the most about it is that it is so different. But a lot of people saying that this year's not exciting, and I think it's more exciting than the year before.
No, definitely. I mean, as we've said, you're going to see so many matches that you haven't seen before, and you're going to have a ladder match, especially with the IC title on the line. But this is like a stepping stone WrestleMania. It's an important one because this is the building of new characters. So you're going to see people like Reigns coming through. This should be the making of Rollins. Whether or not he wins the match doesn't really matter. It's finishing. It's a natural journey that he has to go through in this massive. It's going to probably be one of the better matches, him versus Orton. Again, there's so many good things that weren't potentially there a few weeks ago, months ago at least, that for me, it's not a bad WrestleMania because, as I said, you're seeing so many different things you won't have seen before.
Yeah, there's lots of storyline going into this one. The only thing that kind of lucked out was Daniel Bryan. But apart from that, everything else seems to be coming together.
Yeah. I mean, that will be interesting after the Mania because they notoriously build well towards WrestleManias, and then it drops off. Not the pay-per-view after, but normally the one after that. And then you have to get back into a cycle of building towards SummerSlam again. So if they can keep this kind of storyline telling going, it's going to be good. Because, I mean, there used to be a lot of times on Raw where there was dead air, and they'd fill it with a filler match. And not going to say there wasn't filler matches this week, because there was a couple, but they're not as prominent as they used to be.
Yeah, it's definitely looking very good this year, and I think the biggest, obviously, the main talking point is the main event. But is it really the main talking point? Because on Raw again, Reigns and Lesnar did not cross paths for starters.
They're in the same bloody building.
Exactly, and it seemed again that Heyman having to do what we're going to say it now, treble time, because he cut another amazing promo, and I don't think anybody can question just how good Paul Heyman is in terms of he talks the talk all the time, but how much more is this guy going to have to do? And why isn't Lesnar talking? I mean, to me, yes, all right, he's the badass. He doesn't have to say a lot, but I think he does. Going into the biggest match of, and let's just be brutally honest, this is the biggest defense that he's got, because you're saying that Reigns is this well, Heyman's saying it for him. Heyman's giving Reigns so much respect in terms of, how good Reigns is, but he's telling him he won't beat Lesnar, but he's giving him so much respect that surely Lesnar should be saying to Heyman, hold on a minute, I don't respect him.
No, they need that point where, and maybe they're saving it. I don't know if he's on Raw next week. I assume he probably is on the last two to WrestleMania, but you need them to... Lesnar's talking's always been done through his fists or whatever he does. You need that to happen to Reigns, and him to give some, take some, and go from there, and probably leave it quite open. But yeah, I mean, Heyman, he's not just doing... I mean, he's knocking them out of the park each week, isn't he? It's ridiculous, the amount of the attention to the promos. I really like the way they keep cutting the mic out. Really clever use of if you can't get to Heyman, and you normally can't, this is a good way of WWE. And I like the way he brought it around. It was like, you think you're getting this belt, he's not giving it back. That was awesome. And he goes, if he wants to do this, he'll do this. If he wants to be here, he'll be here. If he wants to unify the titles with UFC, he'll do that. And yeah, we all know it's pie in the sky, but it's been said now, and it's been said on WWE television, and this is what we were getting worried about before. So no, perfect. Other than the fact they need to meet.
Yeah, I'd really like to have that moment, a bit like when Cena faced Lesnar at Extreme Rules, when he bloodied him and he hurt him. I would like to see that happen right before, to just to show that Lesnar is the more dominant of the two, because I think they won't do it because it's all this rubbish to do with making Reigns look strong, and I don't think it really needs to be done anymore. I think we get it. Yeah. So
the way I'd do it is that you'd have Lesnar maybe hit him kind of in a sneaky fashion while he's talking to Heyman or something, but then I'd have him cut Lesnar and do it that way, that he got a cut, and the beast is human. That's the way I'd do it.
That's a good point.
And do it on the final Raw to WrestleMania, just in case you're not hooked. Come back.
And if you are thinking this, if WWE are thinking to do this, then I don't know if they will, but obviously if Lesnar is planning to go after WrestleMania, then an ideal thing to do would be to maybe plant a bit of a seed that him and Heyman and Lesnar aren't always seeing eye to eye. So, like I said about the whole thing where Heyman is giving a lot of respect to Reigns. He just keeps banging on that he's going to beat him, but ultimately he's been told to make Reigns look strong. Oh God! But that right there for me is what I want to kind of be questioned from Lesnar. I want Lesnar to turn to Heyman and say to him, "Well, you respect him, but I don't." And kind of, it could be like an off-the-wall backstage segment or something like that, where a bit of animosity is planted between the two. And you know why that could happen? Because actually at WrestleMania, Heyman could align himself with Reigns, and it could be because he didn't respect Roman Reigns, and going out of WrestleMania, that opens the door for Heyman to then be aligned with Reigns and also cut some really good promos. You didn't respect Roman Reigns, blah 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 blah. It just would make sense if you want to keep Heyman aligned with the big title picture, and also put him with somebody who can't really talk that well still.
The only thing I would say is that Reigns will need to talk a lot. I think we were talking about babyface federations last week, and the WWE is very much one of those. The question mark, I suppose, is Heyman, isn't it? And it will continue to be throughout this match, because he has a history of jumping to different champions just before they become anointed. The other thing I did like in the promo is that he even brought up Rollins. So if you're thinking of cashing in, that's not going to happen either. Don't want
him to see him aligned with Rollins. You just ruin him.
Well, he would, and he doesn't need him, to be completely honest. The one thing that you were saying there that I did like is the bit that Lesnar doesn't respect him. And I would have really liked it to go down this kind of storyline. The only reason I don't think it might not, and I think it's probably the best one, and it would basically be Lesnar overestimating himself against Reigns, and that could be why he loses. The only reason I think they might deviate from that, but would be what they're doing with Cena and Rusev at the moment, is that Rusev is so prideful, and it looks like it's his pride that is going to be his downfall ultimately. But no, very interesting what they could do with Lesnar. There are lots of options, and I have faith again in WWE that they won't muck it up.
That's what everybody has. It's looking good. And they did also say, like we talked about earlier, that potentially if Lesnar wants to unify the UFC Championship and the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, then he can do so. What do you think Dana White and co think of that comment?
For me, as a wrestling fan, that was brilliant, because I don't want it being one-way traffic. And for the last 6-7 months, with everything from CM Punk to Lesnar turning up at the show, it had been very much one-way traffic. So for me, it's like saying, look, shut up, we're relevant too. So no, I thought it was good.
It was a good way to generate some real media as well.
And it only took 2 lines.
Yeah. So even if Heyman wrote that in, I'm pretty sure Vince stuck that in there. But it was a smart move from the WWE, taking a shot at UFC after UFC, like you say, has dominated them recently in terms of signing ex-WWE talent and kind of just embarrassing the WWE a little bit to a degree.
And like you said before, it probably was Vince planting a seed, because you're not going to get that acknowledgement of a rival in the UFC out of Vince's mouth, but you can have it out of Heyman's.
Exactly. It's interesting, but I think they've got to come face to face very, very soon. I mean, they haven't got much time left to come face to face. So
that's if Lesnar turns up.
yeah, and you know when you give Lesnar that mic, anything can happen.
He should just Gronkowski it and spike it, but you're not going to know who Gronkowski is, are you? No. He could be a bona fide Lesnar like competitor. He's a tight end for the Patriots. He's massive. He's party boy.
Is this some sort of American football talk?
This is American football talk, which I'm sure a lot of our listeners watch as well.
Moving on. Okay, let's crack on and let's talk about one of the best segments, I think, on Raw, which was Cena and Rusev.
This is just music to my ears. Is this the 3rd or 4th week in a row you are going to praise John Cena? Fanboy.
No, not at all. But it's giving Cena a dimension which, I'm not going to say we haven't seen before. We see it a lot. It just gets teased and it gets taken away, and I'm a bit worried it's going to happen again.
We're seeing it for a bit longer this time, though, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, we're seeing it a bit longer, and we're also seeing it in terms that he's pretty much. It's almost like he doesn't give a rat's ass about anything else now. He just wants to he wants his WrestleMania moment, that's for sure, and he wants to destroy Rusev, which I like. I like it, but we talked about this a little bit. In the grand scheme of things, when it comes to John Cena and WWE, go on and on and on about they can never turn him heel, and that he is the face of the WWE. He's the #1 merch guy. He's the kids fan. He's the kids favorite. Not the kids fan. That's a bit weird. But all of this, and yet he's coming out there. And he's whipping on the submission hold, and he's cinching it in, he's holding it in, he's choking him out, then he's applying it again, and he's choking him out even more so, he's taking him down, and a real heelish attack as well, in my point of view. But yet you're still not willing to commit to that this guy can turn heel.
Well, I don't know if John and Nikki have been watching like Hostel this week or something, because there was some kind of torture scene in there where the fact that he made him pass out with the STFU, still calling it that, and then he woke him up again, and I really like that, and that is proper heelish, isn't it? I mean, to the point where you're actually torturing the guy to passing out. And yeah, it was a little bit of retribution for what happened to him at Fastlane. Did it need to go that way? Well, it's interesting that they chose to go that way, isn't it? Because it didn't need to.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
It's exactly it.
It's taking it to the extreme to make Cena look not just like a powerful, it's not a powerful babyface. It looked like a powerful heel.
But that's it. I mean, the salute to the crowd had gone. The talking to the camera at the beginning, gone again. And again, we are fully aware that these things have disappeared before. And obviously we're both, not just because we want a heel Cena turn, and that's the thing that everyone seems to want and go to, but that we actually think there is real money in this, don't we?
Well, there is. I mean, they can't go on about that. If he turns, then they're going to lose money on merchandise. You watch the draw that will come in if people start hearing that John Cena has turned his back on the WWE universe. He's carrying the United States Championship. If you remember rightly, when he had the United States Championship before, he wasn't exactly a fan favorite, and the crowd would. I actually think that it would technically turn him face.
He was
what I mean.
He was the doctor of thugonomics when he won it last.
But people would cheer him more.
Well, I was going to say it was the weirdest reaction I think I've had for John Cena for a while. He didn't really get anything, did he?
Well, I think the crowd liked the whole the reapplying of the STFU. Yeah. That's where the crowd were into it. The crowd weren't into was the fact that he's trying to enforce himself into a match, and he's trying to enforce himself into getting a championship title match because. I mean, let's be honest, no one really gives a shit if he has a title reign or not about this belt, because we all know that he's not going to do an awful lot with it.
Well, the only thing he's going to do is that he'll make it relevant again, but
he'll put a spinner on it.
No, but I was going to he won't put a spinner on it this time, I'm sure. But if he does win, I think he'll be giving it straight back at the next pay-per-view. I don't see him holding on to it for very long. What I did think was very interesting. What did you think of the use of Lana in this? The fact that she was the one that accepted the match, not Rusev.
I thought it was good. I would have rather had her in the ring to do that line. I would have had her trying to get him off. I mean, this is the thing. She's meant to come across as quite a strong woman. So I would have had her maybe try and pull him off at first and try and get...
So in the last two sentences, you wanted to get him off and then pull him off. I'm just clarifying, just seeing where you're going with this.
I wanted her to remove Cena from Rusev. And that sounds even worse.
But you make such a great point there. Sorry, just to interrupt. What you said about her, that they went to the stereotypical portrayal of a woman, didn't they, in WWE, that she's the one to fold, not Rusev.
And that's exactly the point. She could have slapped him around the... there was so much they could have done. He could have had Rusev in that move. She could have tried to pull him off, yes. She could have then slapped Cena whilst he keeps that move on. She could have done so many things at that point before giving in. And she didn't do none of it. All she did was, okay. And I don't know who that is, but... okay, I give you a match. But it could have been anything.
Right, pull it together.
It could have been done better, I think. And having her on the outside, that's why the crowd, although the crowd weren't great, the crowd lacked reaction, because to be honest, they were probably still watching more of the ring stuff, and it kind of took it away from Lana. You weren't really paying that much attention. I didn't think that bit was that great. And like you say, it kind of went back to that stereotype, which they're trying to get away from. That's the other thing as well. They're trying to get away from all that stuff, and they go and do a segment like that.
It's baby steps, isn't it? It's baby steps. I mean, do you see this as the potential? I mean, they've never really had this kind of potential for a rift between Rusev and Lana before. Is this the end of her coming away from? Because this is what I've always wondered about Lana, is after this is done with Rusev, where could she possibly go in character?
She wants to be a wrestler behind the scenes, doesn't she? She's been training.
Well, I hope so.
She's been saying that she's wanted to be a wrestler for quite some time. I don't know how on earth that will work now. She's going to have to be some sort of masterous heel as a diva. I mean, it just doesn't fit that diva genre at the moment.
She's going to be 10 times better than Naomi, and I had to get this in because she has the most stupid finishing move I think I've ever seen. I think it's called the rear view, which is basically her jumping her arse into someone's face.
Perfect name for a finishing move.
Yeah, well, Natalia, I wouldn't have put up with that. I'd have put her in a sharpshooter and just left her in the middle of the ring and not let go.
What you're saying is you don't want your face in Naomi's arse.
Well, this has taken a bizarre turn this week, talking the last 5 minutes.
You had to get it in there. You said it.
Yeah, take your mind out the gutter. The gutter.
Where are you from?
I don't know, same place as Lana.
Take it from the gutter. Yeah, I mean,
Street man.
segment wise, good. Segment wise, good. Could have been done better. In my view.
Yeah, I mean, if these are the gripes we've got, they're not really gripes, are they?
No. What I would say about the whole thing is, if you're going to go down this route with Cena, don't go backwards again. Don't revert him back to type where he turns back to Mr. Nice Guy, friendly champ, all of that stuff. We don't want that. I don't think anybody wants that. You just got to weigh up that if you're gonna do it, now is probably the best time to push forward. He doesn't have to be a fully blown heel. He just needs to show a bit more of this aggression. And over the weeks, the more he does that, he can then begin to maybe turn his back a little bit. I'm guaranteeing you, merchandise would sell.
Oh, of course it would.
Stop.
But I mean, that's the thing in where Stephanie in her promo the week before got it spot on, is that you can't really take him back now, because there is no place for him like that. It's gone. And arguably he could, I'm not going to say work his way back up, because he is still the number one guy, and it's, everything goes through him, like he said. But you're giving that spot to Reigns.
But he doesn't really fit the WWE mold at the moment, because if you look at the guys that you've got your Seth Rollins, who's perfect heel. You've got a Dean Ambrose, who's the lunatic who kind of flutters between the two, because I would still say that Dean Ambrose doesn't acknowledge that he's a fully blown face. You've got Bray Wyatt, who's definitely a straight up heel, with that sort of mysteriousness. You've got Reigns, the powerhouse, again, not always willing to admit that he's a babyface. But then you've got that old school Cena character, which is 100% babyface, although the crowd don't like it, and it just doesn't fit in this day and age, because the crowd don't like, and if Vince likes it or not, I don't care. But the crowd don't like to have that crystal clear babyface. They just like to have their opinion.
That's it. And I mean, even if you take away the saluting from Cena and the talking to the camera, even doing that gives him more viability as a character, because the most fans, even American fans, with the saluting, and it pisses them off. There's always going to be half that get pissed off with it, than half that aren't really bothered by it, I would say, because I can't see many people, like imitating it. So it's maybe it's one of these things where we're going to not necessarily get a heel turn, but we're going to get a redefining of a character. But again, I'm not going to hold my breath, because we've said this before as well.
If they don't turn him, I think that the next step for John Cena is most definitely to bring back Hacksaw Jim Duggan and pair him up as a tag team. Tough guy. I mean, enough said. So let's whoa. Can't be having jinx. Can't punch me from here. Let's talk about Orton Rollins, final segment, and it kind of wraps up this week's We Talk. But yes, very interesting, because the Viper finally did strike.
Did you? I loved his promo at the beginning when he had them all in the ring and
Kane's face,
one at a time. Best line of the whole thing, when he called what did he call Kane? The devil's favorite dumbass. I was like, perfect.
Actually, just quickly touch on this whilst we talk about this segment, and let's talk about actually in general the show. PG show.
Well, to the point where they had to kind of move the camera away from Orton's double digits that he gave Rollins, didn't he?
Well, yeah, you had him giving the finger. You had that. You had obviously Cena ultimately aggressive. You had the Bray Wyatt and the Undertaker thing, not pretty dark, pretty kind of scary sort of promo segments. Sting, the mysteriousness. This didn't feel like your typical PG WWE.
No, but I was going to say, if you need me to hold your hand through a Wyatt promo.
What?
No, he didn't. And I see exactly what you're saying. It was different. And not that it was just like one segment here or there. It was throughout the entire show, wouldn't you say, most of the time? Mm-hmm. So no, it was good. I'm not saying it was an Attitude Era, because obviously that era has gone. But it was a step in the right direction to become a wrestling program again.
Yes. And I think Orton Rollins is building into a really nice feud. It's a match that I'm very much looking forward to watching at WrestleMania. I loved the promo. I liked the way that when he finally did come clean, that he was mucking around, so to speak, that Rollins was just like, that is the best heel. He's becoming, if not my favourite at the moment, because just that whole, he was like, he's joking, he's walking around, cheer, come on, Kane, like cheer up, and it's just that sort of delusional heel that just thinks that everybody loves him, and nobody does. It kind of reminds me a bit of the Hollywood Rock, where Rock just used to like think the crowd loved him, but they didn't. And that's how Rollins sort of reminds me a bit. And he is the ultimate heel because he's got all the traits of a heel. He runs away, he's scared, but then he tries to back it up with that. He's been in the ring with Brock Lesnar. He's not scared of people. And I love that whole thing that they've done with Rollins. And then Orton this week just absolutely belittling the Authority, then turning it back, making it out as if actually, nah, I was just joking. And then later on, the destruction. You weren't keen on the destruction, but I quite liked it because I think it opens up that Rollins will get his own back the week after.
Oh, I was going to say Rollins had the best line as well. I think it was to Jamie Noble when Orton had gone round, and obviously Jamie was like the two Smurfs, him, Jamie and Joey, who were like, don't believe him, don't trust him. And Rollins just turned around to him and goes, oh, you're just pissed off because you can't get on the rides at Disneyland. I thought that was classic. But no, it was good, and I completely, like, it's like you say with Rollins, he does the things right at the right time, but when he needs to stand toe to toe, he will. So no, I think he's brilliant, and the delusional kind of like, everybody loves me, man. Come on, Big Show, lighten up. That was all great. I liked. It was WWE, I suppose, doing their storytelling at its best, because it's been a slow burn angle for 4 or 5 months. Mm-hmm. With Orton legitimately doing the old school kind of thing when you disappear after an injury, even though we knew he was having time off and probably shooting a movie or doing something along those lines. It was, and so you even had the slow burn on the show that opened the show and closed the show, which I really, really liked. The only thing and it's not that I didn't like it, but it was just me getting a question in when he doesn't tag in for Rollins in the handicap match, and Reigns rolls him up and quickly gets out of the ring. I would have liked Rollins because he just did the shock thing, and I think that's what they were going for. Obviously, it was the shock, but I wanted him to at least try and throw a punch, get it blocked. I think even just one punch, and it would have left Rollins in a completely good light. I mean, what they did, Randy, did it feel a little bit long to you?
No, because
it was about a 5-minute beatdown, wasn't it?
Yeah, but if you think where it's come from, he curb stomped him on cement blocks. I mean,
but he kind of looked like he was wandering around going, what do I do next? What do I do next? How much time have I got to fill? But no, I think the one thing that ended it for me, and it ended definitively, was I've never seen such a smooth RKO. And if anyone was meant to take an RKO, it was Seth Rollins. And
the table actually broke perfectly fine.
It was perfect. It was like the perfect way to end.
I was still hoping they would take out Michael Cole at some point, but no.
You're never going to get that lucky. He's out there with Lillian Garcia as soon as the tables start flying. I do like it whenever shit's going to go down when Lillian Garcia starts scurrying away.
It was. I liked the whole segment. I think that now it opens for Rollins and the Authority to be all out after Orton, and that's kind of what you want. You kind of want them trying to hunt him down just before going into WrestleMania, because they obviously want to do some damage before he goes into that match. I reckon we're going to see a lot of RKOs in that match. I reckon there will be interference.
Well, that was the biggest chant, wasn't it? Well, the whole night was RKO. The whole way through. So Orton, I was worrying that it had been too long and that they were going back into the angle again from the beginning, but it seems they've come out of it okay.
I'm a big fan of Orton. I like Orton's stuff. I think this is the best when he can be, when he's not quite a heel and he's not quite a face.
I like it when he's a little bit pissed off, because he always does his best stuff when he's slightly pissed off at something, to the point where he's not hopefully calling people dumbasses again in the ring. But, when he's got that little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and I would imagine he has at the moment.
Well, he's got the
compared
limelight
to
back
when
where
he
he needs it to be, and I would say that this is probably one of the
didn't
more
really wanna
anticipated
do
matches
the job.
going into WrestleMania, and really on a card where you have got like Sting, Triple H, Taker returning. You would think that some of these matches would not get the exposure that they get in, and it really is. It's doing a really good job, and also you've still got that element of that. Even if Rollins loses to Randy Orton, he's still got the briefcase to cash in at some point.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's what I think is good, is that they're tying, and all these stories are interlocking at the moment. And so I think the thing's going to be, Triple H is going to say to Orton, to Rollins next week is, look, you're on your own. You know, you got the authority, but you're a member of the authority, but we've got so many different things going on that you're going to have to deal with Orton by yourself, and good luck, basically.
Yeah, I'll be interested. I don't actually know how that one's going to go. I would say if I was a betting person, I'd definitely go with Orton with a victory, and then Rollins.
I would go for Orton.
I think Rollins will do something else later on, but
I think we may be booking the same WrestleMania main event here.
Yeah, so I mean that kind of brings us to a close. It was a very, very interesting Monday Night Raw, to say the least. As I say, it didn't feel like the norm. Didn't feel too dubbed down. Although they did blur the fingers up.
They just cut them out the shot. It was hilarious.
They didn't want to do that, which was a bit annoying. But yeah, a very good Monday Night Raw. So guys, let us know via the comments box below what you thought of this week's Raw. What was your favourite points? What did you think about that Sting promo? Did you understand the voice? Did you want him to play a game or not? What did you think of The Undertaker making a statement? I'd probably say that's probably the best way to sum it up. Reigns and Lesnar, when are they going to collide? Cena Rusev, Cena heel turn. And Orton and Rollins finally getting it on.
Yeah, this We Talk did take a slightly, let's just say, deviation at times.
Thought it was pretty good. So guys, yeah, get involved via the comments box below. Don't forget as well, you can download all the episodes of We Talk on Delzinski.com. So head over there, click a download button, and you can stick We Talk on your iPod, your iPad, however you want to listen to it. It's all there on Delzinski.com. This episode will go up after 3 days. So yeah, again, you can download this one as well. Weeds, have you got anything left to say?
No, just until next week. I will be catching your second episode of Saturday Night Main Event tonight. Looking forward to that, 8 p.m. Until that, have a great week, guys, and we'll be back for more We Talk next week.
Yep, guys, make sure you check Saturday Night Main Event and also get those audio clips in. Don't forget, follow me on Twitter at Delzinski. I'll give you my email and you can send over your 30-second predictions for WrestleMania and the main event of Reigns versus Lesnar. We just signed out. I'm signing out. Yes, another We Talk weekend comes to a close. This is Delzinski signing out.
Hi, wrestling fans and gamers. Velvet Sky here, and I just want to say I've been hearing a rumor that Delzinski.com is the best place for video gaming and wrestling content. Now, if you're a wrestling fan and a hardcore gamer like myself, then I suggest you check out Delzinski.com. You will not be disappointed. Holler!